Hello, everybody. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese to high schoolers out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. And I am thinking my way through the Harvard Project Zero thinking routines. And if you want to help me with this, because it's a lot of work, ping me at studio-nemo.com or on the Minecraft Education Ambassadors or the Minecraft Teachers Lounge and the Duolingo Educators Network. I hang out at all those places. Today, we are looking at the thinking routine in perspective-taking category of the Harvard Project Zero thinking routines. This is feelings and options. And link is in the description, but again, they're all located here, www.pz.harvard.edu/thinking-routines. Feelings and options is also located in considering controversies, dilemmas, and perspectives, and also in generating possibilities and analogies. So they like it a lot, and they reuse it. This is a routine for analyzing dilemmas. And they give you this little checklist of choose a dilemma that you want your students to analyze. They're going to identify who are the people involved. They're going to feel, what do you think each person is feeling? This empathy piece is really crucial. Imagine options for how the situation could be handled. And say, thinking more about the idea you chose for handling the situation, what could the people involved say? So a lot of good writing on this one. There's a really good routine for social emotional learning activities. There's a handout that they have that you're going to need to translate to your target language. Okay, now I've done them for Spanish, French, and Japanese, and you are welcome to them. I've got them at the Duolingo Educators Network or at my website, studio-nemo.com, and I will show them to you right here. Remember that I teach early levels. Okay, so I make my sentences very simple. It's not a straight translation, and heaven forbid it's got to be simple so the students can understand it. Okay, so here's first page of the French. I'll just slowly show you what it looks like, and then you can pause your screen and look at it, or you can get the actual printout. Here's the second page of the French one. Okay. Now, you'll notice for my Japanese one, there's no way these questions are in the zone of proximal development for my students. They're not at N+1 when I was in graduate school. I+1, I think they're calling it nowadays, where N or I is the amount of language that you know, and +1 is just slightly out of your comfort zone. These instructions are hugely out of my students' comfort zones, okay? It's just too much kanji, too much. So I always scaffold with, when I'm giving instructions, scaffold with the English, okay? So you'll see I just left the English here, right here, and then I wrote the Japanese, okay? But the Japanese, again, is not a straight translation. It's a simplified translation. Part of being a professional translator is knowing who your audience is, and I used to be a professional translator. So here's more of the Japanese, the second page, okay, and then I've got the Spanish right here. And, oh, you know what I also do, especially my French students mess up spelling je m'appelle. My Spanish students forget to put the me on the me llamo. So instead of putting name here, I always put, I call myself, or, my name is, or whatever, so that they get that extra reinforcement. And here I'm reinforcing how dates are written, okay? Here's the second page of the Spanish. For my French and Spanish classes, after we've looked at the worksheets, I do project the English on the board because I want to make sure that they understand what my simple sentences are saying. So even though I don't have the English printed on the worksheet, I definitely scaffold it for them. I definitely have it up there on the board for them because I learned my very first year teaching. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm teaching Japanese. I'm going to do the whole entire class in Japanese. This is a group of Japanese 3 students. They can handle it. No, they couldn't handle it. I found a girl crying in the corner because she didn't understand what I was saying when I was giving directions, which meant she couldn't play the game that we were playing. And then her affective filter was raised, and then it took me 3 more weeks to lower the damage that I had done when I gave instructions in the target language. So from now on, I don't give instructions in the target language. I give instructions in English with the scaffolding. Just a lesson I learned the hard way. Keep this thinking routine simple Keep encouraging your students that short, choppy sentences are completely fine and maybe even better. Okay, there's going to be a lot of ideas that they want to express, and they're going to be really tempted to machine translate. So be on your toes, make sure their phones aren't out, and keep being a warm demander. Keep asking them, put your phone away. You can do this. Make the sentence short. It's okay. Short, choppy sentences are fine. If you don't know the word you want, either ask me. I'll put it on the board in my living word bank, or you can code switch. That's perfectly fine. Code switching is you use the grammar of the target language and then you insert an English word. And that's completely fine, but you really got to push your students for this. So the given dilemmas are all digital dilemmas, and they're located here, and I'll put that link in the description. The digital dilemmas are somebody's being cyberbullied, somebody feels left out of a group chat, photos are being posted without permission, that kind of stuff. You can translate their dilemmas if you'd like. You can create embedded readings of the dilemmas. You can find your own. That's a lot of work. And besides, I prefer to do other things. Okay. So one thing I like to do is I like to take a story that we're reading, because we read a lot in my classes, because that's a great way for me to embed culture and actual language, right? So we take a story we're reading and we pretend it happens in the digital age. Okay, it's so funny to think about, like what would happen if Don Quixote had access to a cell phone, okay? Or La Barbe Bleue. So many problems could be solved if the wife just had a cell phone, right? So we like to do that. Or maybe I just totally ignore the digital part because I'm a lazy bones, and I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that the students get that covered during advisory period. Advisory period is our 20 minutes on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for the students to get homework help, or for them to have club meetings, or if we have a school-wide social emotional learning lesson, we do it during that advisory period, okay? Or, a school-wide earthquake drill or something. So if we're doing any kind of digital citizenship stuff, it'll be handled during that advisory period. So I'm like, yeah, I've got other things to do with this. So maybe I just take a very tense part of a story that we're working on, and I just have the students work through that using those discussion questions, okay? Just smack dab in the middle of the climax. Works the best, I think. All right, so now let's talk about if you're teaching grammar explicitly. For example, you've got pop-up grammar, you're doing the grammar translation method, you're doing the audio-lingual method, and you're looking at transformation drills, and the students aren't quite getting it. You're doing community language learning, and you're dissecting a script your class wrote, or you're working straight out of your textbook. This is a really good lesson to focus on all those feeling words. Okay, so here's an example of, like, this is part of my vast drive full of feelings pictures so that I can just bring them up at the moment's notice whenever we need it. But for Spanish students, it's so crucial to drill down on the difference between ser and estar. So this is a pretty good thinking routine for that. For all Romance languages, you can focus on matching the emotion to the person emoting it, because the gender might have to change. For Japanese, you're never going to be so presumptuous as to say, oh, I know he's happy. You're going to say he looks happy, right? So you can teach them all that, soda, rashida, all the, I heard that he's happy, he seems happy, he looks happy. You can practice all that stuff. So that's really good, solid way to apply that grammar. When you're teaching literature, culture, history, art, you've got a recipe, you've got, well, recipe's not going to have a tense moment in it, right? But any of that stuff. J'aime lire. I love this series. It's got some stories that are geared for 10-year-olds, but it's very authentic because it's geared for 10-year-olds. It's not geared for people learning French. It's geared for people who already speak French. So we pulled stuff out of that. My textbook is Beyond D for French, and there's this wonky, oh, it's so cheesy. It's so wonderfully cheesy. The students love it so much. It's just this téléroman, this like little soap opera thing, and the students get really into these characters and the little problems they're having. So you can pretend it's a digital problem, or you can just use the tenseness of it. My Japanese students, generally we work out of Adventures in Japanese, and there's two characters, there's Ken and Emmy, and the students love to ship them. I don't know why. They call them Kemi. That's their couple name, okay? And then in the second year textbook, there's a third character introduced, and the students get so incensed. They get so angry. Oh my gosh, this new character is horning in on their relationship. And so they like to write fan fiction about it. And of course, I encourage that. So it's so much fun. So we do that kind of stuff. At any rate, just choose your favorite novel, or you can find a really expressive piece of artwork where the subjects are just about to do something, and then use this thinking routine. Okay, this is from Yojimbo with Mifune Toshiro right here. And boy, every single scene in that movie is just gorgeous. In our next episode, we are going to pass the parcel. Hope to see you there.